It never bothered her much, to be honest. When she was growing up, Christmas had meant a lot more work than anything else, considering that she was always heading out caroling and helping her mom make the cookies and other pastries that went to the bake sales and church events. The day itself wasn't much better. Up with the sun to head to church for a service that had always been more comfortable to sleep through than pay attention to. Then it was back home to help her mom with the cooking, while Dad and her brothers spent their time greeting guests for the dinner that was inexplicably held at 4 in the afternoon. At least the food was pretty damn good. Still, it was one of the symptoms that eventually led her to leave her family behind. Claudia would have spent the whole holiday relaxing if she didn't have any plans, and she would not have felt like her Christmas day was wasted. New Year's was the one she spent with her friends, although there were a couple of people out there who thought that she should find the time to be wining and dining her clients at the start of the new year. Instead, she was just back from the hospital. The doctor said she hadn't taken too much damage, but it was enough for there to be some time for recovery. After the days she had, she was going to be taking a lot more than that. Honestly, Claudia didn't know if she was going to have a job by the time that all the fallout from this clusterfuck fell out. She limped over to her fridge, pulled it open, and took one of the beer bottles out, pressing it to her cheek as she made her way to the living room. She had been excited to find that she was one of those people who could afford to have a living room in New York. Now, it just seemed like another thing about herself she wasn't sure she wanted, or she believed she wanted. Weird how not killing your ex when you knew you had a way of making you reevaluate your life choices. Claudia paused, tilting her head and shaking it. She'd imagined that, right? She was on pain medication, so it was easy to assume she was just dreaming shit up at this point. After a pause, she turned back around to look at the marble countertop that separated her kitchen from the living room, narrowing her eyes when she saw a wrapped gift waiting for her there. No! No! She approached it carefully, leaning away from the present as she picked it up. Not too heavy, as it turned out. No signs that it was booby-trapped. Then again, maybe it was poisoned. Maybe even on the wrapping paper. She'd seen that. Been a party to it, too. Nothing was happening. Claudia peeled the wrapping off, inspecting what was inside. She wasn't sure why she was surprised by the box, but opening it revealed a small, heart-shaped locket. It was gorgeous, inlaid with mother-of-pearl and silver, with a handful of gemstones inlaid in the shape of the heart on both sides. She liked to think she knew a bit about expensive shit, and she had learned more lately. With that in mind, she was confident that she was looking at something handmade and expensive. Inside there was a small picture of her and Nick, as he'd been called then, one of the first pictures they'd taken together as a couple. They'd been invited to the wedding of a mutual friend, and they'd gone together. The wedding photographer had caught them holding hands while laughing at a joke made by one of the groomsmen during his speech. "Can't believe he kept that," she whispered, pulling the picture out. She smiled as she studied it and flipped it over to the other side, where she saw that he had written, "Call me," small enough to fit on the picture. He hadn't bothered to include his number in the message, but maybe that was for the best. She took a deep breath to calm her nerves and settle her shaking hands as she slipped the picture back into place and snapped the locket shut. She wasn't going to cry, not over him. Not tonight, anyway. Without a second thought, Claudia put the locket back in the box and tossed it into her purse as she uncapped the beer in her hand. All told, a drink wasn't a terrible idea at this point.